So here's how I see the world, and I would like as my gift to Black America to solve all your problems right here. All right. So the American success plan is usually the same. If you want to succeed, you first have to get rid of your obstacles, right? If you have an obstacle to success, logically, how many of you would agree? If you have an obstacle to success and you want to succeed, do you not need to remove your obstacle first? Yes or no? Oh, somebody says no. Interesting. It's because you're way ahead of me, isn't it? Some of you say yes. We'll get to that. All right, so let's say you've got obstacles you've got to get rid of, and let's say one of your obstacles is systemic racism. And systemic racism could be connected to a bunch of other problems you've got, from poverty to maybe poor nutrition, you're in a crime neighborhood, too many drugs, etc. The etc. on this is doing a lot of work. But you also, if you could handle your obstacles, you can find a way around them, then you'd also have a strategy. And your strategy might be study continuously, build a talent stack, learn things all the time. That's always good for success. You'd want to stay off drugs and obey the law. And here again, the et cetera is doing a lot of work, right? You'd want to network. You'd want to, there's a whole bunch of things you'd dress right. So there's a whole bunch of things that we could all name that would be your strategies for success. Now, in my opinion, and here's where I'm going to get in trouble, it's great to have free speech. If you ever get a chance to have free speech like I have, that most of you don't, it's really awesome. It's a great feeling to be able to say whatever you think is true and helpful. All right? Now, I try to use my free speech just to be helpful, and this would be an example. Right? If you're an Asian American, do you have any systemic racism? I'd say yes. Historically, most people would agree yes. And do any Asian Americans come over here with any problems of poverty and bad nutrition? Probably. There are plenty of poor people of all types, etc. But in my opinion, what I see is that the Asian American community works on their strategies for success. And you know what that does? What happens if you work on your strategies and you ignore your obstacles? It removes all your obstacles. It removes your obstacles. Because if you've got a really good skill set, nothing's going to stop you. Nothing. If you're not doing drugs, you stay down in jail, and you develop useful skills that the world wants, nothing's going to stop you. No, you soon will fix your own nutrition, your poverty will be fixed, your systemic racism might still be there, but you wouldn't even notice it. You'd slice through it like it didn't exist. So I believe that the Black American strategy for success is accidentally backwards. Accidentally. It's accidentally backwards. And I believe that all of us, are being sold an idea that if you don't remove the obstacles to success, systemic racism being at the top, if you don't remove these, Black Americans are going to be depressed and suppressed because they won't have the same level of success. Asian Americans do it the other way around. They get themselves right, they fix themselves, and then all this becomes irrelevant. So this is the biggest thing that Black Americans probably need to imitate. Success is mostly imitation. Imitation, there's no crime to be imitators, right? I learned to be a cartoonist by imitating other cartoonists, right? So imitation is the way to succeed. You look at other people, what did they do? And then you try to do that thing. And what works for every person, Black, Asian American, anything else, Hispanic American, you name it, what works for everybody is this part. You do this part first. You don't ignore the obstacles. If there are people who want to be working on those directly, that's great. But if everybody did this, you wouldn't even talk about that. It would just disappear in time. Right? And that, ladies and gentlemen, is my contribution to Black America. I believe that if every Black American took the free assets that are available, and I'm a perfect example, I could give you advice on how to do this right. I really could. A lot of people could. I write books on it, so you can buy my books, and how to fail at almost everything and still win big. Tells you exactly, and in a pretty easy way, how to do the strategies right to succeed. Black America, because I have freedom of speech, I got it the hard way. But let me tell you, if you do this, work on this strategy first, the other stuff is going to disappear in importance in a fairly quick period of time. But if you work on the, focusing on the obstacles, and you tell yourself, well, there's no point in working on myself because I got all these obstacles, you will be guaranteed to fail. And honestly, it's going to be hard to care. It's going to be hard for other people to care about you, right? Do you know why Asian Americans never had Asian American Lives Matter? Because nobody questioned it. It wasn't a question. Nobody even thought about it. Of course they do. The reason that black Americans wanted to make sure that black lives matter is that it felt like they didn't. It just felt like they didn't. But if you want to make black lives matter, stop working on this side. That's not how you get there. This is a false path. These are all real things. There really is systemic racism. I'm a big believer in it. But you need to ignore it if you want to personally succeed. If you want to personally succeed, work on strategies, the rest of it will become irrelevant pretty quickly. Pretty quickly. Now you might say to me, Scott, you're being simplistic. Because the reason you can't work on those personal strategies is you're in such a bad situation. To which I say that is a loser's strategy or a loser's philosophy. If you believe you can't because you have obstacles, well, then you can't. Somebody smart said that once. If you believe you can't, you're right. If you believe you can, you're probably right. So this is my contribution. I do it at obviously great personal risk, but I'm in a position where I could do that, and so I thought it was useful. And I only do it because it's useful. I know, it probably looks like I'm trying to get clicks, but not this. This is only because I think it's useful. And that, ladies and gentlemen, concludes our presentation for today. YouTube, I'll talk to you tomorrow.